go.
Indeed. Welcome, bienvenue. Welcome once again to another live stream. We alternate, well, I wouldn't say alternate. We vary this slot today between property matters, more general purpose property, and in general, we usually have a guest or two, and and construction matters, where normally we'd have the inimitable Michelle here to help us guide us through. She is a QS, very knowledgeable. But unfortunately, she is very ill. So I'm going to do a quick shout out to you. Michelle, get well soon. We miss you here. But today's topic is an interesting one. In other podcasts, Hamish and I are often talking about the fact that there should be, according to the last, umpteen manifestos by whichever incumbent there happens to be at number 10, there's been a promise to build certain numbers of homes, and it's never happened. And we were, I wasn't hopeful, but I was wanting to be proved wrong this time around. Unfortunately, not happened. Today's construction matters is 1.5 million homes. Ambition or impossible target? Hamish, start us off, do.
Well, yes, it's a fine afternoon here in Oxfordshire again. Bright sunshine.
It's bright.
One can see from behind, but there's also that in front of me. Cool. It's cool indeed. And of course, as we well know, one of the challenges of cool weather and the dampness that we've had and sub-zeros and all of that, it's not the best of time for the construction industry. They do have to slow down whether they wanted to or not.
Yeah.
Because concrete doesn't set, plaster doesn't set, and everything you put up gets sort of damp, and it doesn't exactly help the fabric of the building. So it's one of those things that just sort of happens. It needs to be the time of year when things go quiet, go calmer. So we should be able to assess what we've done in 2025 in terms of house build, what we've done. And the reality challenge is numbers never keep up with it.
No.
What we perhaps need to do is let's go back to 24, 25 from the time when our government came in. Now, in fairness to this particular government, they came in with a tremendous number of flags flying. Unfortunately, the wind hasn't been particularly helpful on their way through. And sometimes they sort of almost cut the bit off that was holding the flag up. So the flag has sort of disappeared, or somehow or other, we're not able to sort of go forward, not able to go through. Now, when we actually, big target, 1.5 million homes in a 5-year period. Now, I've been around for a few years, not all of them in construction. I do not recollect any time historically in this country. Hopefully we'll have some knowledgeable person looking in that can say, oh, we did it that year, Hamish. I believe it was in the late 60s was the last time we hit 300,000. And that's the number of properties per year that we need to actually sort of build over that. And when we actually sort of did that 300,000, there were an awful lot more tradespeople about per 1,000 capita, if you get with me. So there would have been, in fact, I remember the good old secondary modern schools in those days. They were not teaching people the skills, the plumbers and the bricklayers and sort of all the rest of it. Now we've in a situation now, and it's not entirely, life happens. And whatever government comes into power, we know that they will say, we want to do this, and something will actually come that they weren't expecting. Nobody expected lockdown. Probably a lot of people expected COVID because there's nothing new in some kind of ailment, some kind of illness creeping around the world. We had the AIDS sort of type thing at one
But
stage.
if we go further back, did you expect Grenfell?
No.
So nobody expected that. That was suddenly, and then more recently, through this excuse of a report that was written for it, we've now become aware of how many other potential Grenfells there are. And on the back of that, that takes off the available market. Loads and loads of potential places for first-time buyers, etc., etc.
Well, we know full well, don't we, that there's tens of thousands of empty properties actually going through remediation at this moment in time that nobody can live in because the block of flats is too dangerous for anybody to live in. So they've had to move out. There's the occasional one that's had fires and all the rest of it. So there's a tremendous amount of remediation actually sort of going on, taking place, which has slowed down the availability of properties there anyway. And of course, with the remediation taking place, that is taking away construction engineers. They have got to be investigating that. Planning engineers, planning people have got to be involved with that. The regulator, the building safety regulator, all of these things are taking up the time of that we weren't expecting. And then, of course, the other aspect, of course, because of sort of lockdown, the combination here, we forget about this knock-on type of effect. Never in life is anything as simple as it happens to be. And it's particularly in view of the way that our current government, with their limited experience, is not something that they would anticipate. But you do X, it doesn't just happen to go to Y. It will
revert back a whole bunch of byproducts, a bunch of byproducts on the side that no one is prepared for. That's the thing.
Absolutely, because what actually happened several years ago when they decided that, let's lock everybody inside. Good idea or bad idea, it doesn't really matter. We're not even commenting on that today. But what happened? You look at this: an expert builder from Poland, for example, or Czechoslovakia, they decide, if I can't go and work for 6 months because of one thing or another, although the building industry didn't come about it the same way, but because of lockdown anyway, people went back to the country of origin. They went back to Czechoslovakia. They went back to Poland, as a result of which we lost an awful lot of skills that went back to their home country.
But also because of Brexit, many people who are here, expert builders from Poland, for instance, use them as a good example, and also from Slovakia and the Czech Republic, because I was married for 7 years to a Czech lady. So I used to see this milling around me. When Brexit was going through, or lead up to Brexit, most importantly, a lot of these thought, why would I stay here to be victimized and pointed at? I'll go back home and make the same amount of money doing it in a society where I'm welcomed. And that's exactly what the Polish did.
Well, it's not quite like that. Because what had happened, what brought them to the UK in the first place? We had, we had a good reputation.
Oh, absolutely.
Secondly, our economy was running fairly effectively.
But it was on an even keel. It was on an even keel, wasn't it?
Compared to what was going on in Europe,
yeah,
we were making tremendous strides. So whether we were members of the European community or not, it didn't matter, because they could earn so much more over here, send some of it back home. But then what they found, particularly from Poland, they went back to Poland and they spent several months, and they, hang on, the economy's better here than it was before we left. In fact, it's pretty well on par. In fact, it's now a darn sight better than our economy is.
Yeah.
So so as you said, Gareth, why would one bother to actually go back?
I don't blame them. I don't blame them. If you can do as well as you can in your home country and save all that toing and throwing and the cost of travel and so on, why wouldn't you just stay where you are? So what we've done effectively, because I wouldn't say a large amount, a proportion of our workforce, our specialist workforce that did the building in the first place, effectively self-excluded themselves. And we've ended up with not the fullest workforce that we could have had, and an ever decreasing amount of actual stock was available for people to buy.
Yeah, so I mean, let's look back where we started. So we haven't had a 5-year period where 300,000 properties were built or made available within that year. And so that's never happened before. So are we going to see? Well, effectively, 200,000 came onto the market in the last 12 months. So we are now down. So we've actually gone up. If you don't need to be too clever at your mathematics, I won't do anything because I have a habit. I used to teach maths, and I have a habit of messing things up these days. It's mainly because you don't have to work it out. But when you actually sort of take 200 away from 15, if you take 200,000 away from 1.5 million, you end up with sort of 1.3 thousand. So we've now got 1.3 thousand to get out in 4 years, which is a bit more than the 3,000. Well, you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
So that's actually sort of happened. But we've got the other thing is we've lost the numbers of people. Now within manufacturing, we have repeatedly over time cut back. Now instead of Brexit, because we never really had a proper Brexit. In fact, we still have politicians trying to get back through the back door back into Europe again. Well, it's not going to help us anyway, to be perfectly honest. But whichever way we look at it. But the whole idea was to create some kind, not exactly a self-preservation society, but have a community, have a country which could manufacture for itself.
Just that tune is now going around my head from the. I'm just okay. So
it's not happening, is it? We're not rebuilding. We're not getting back into making materials available. And like we found a couple of weeks ago, and I think it was the very, very knowledgeable Michelle who told us, Michelle Carr, that the amount of concrete that we're digging up. We've stopped. It was the lowest volume since something like the 50s that we've dug up in the UK. The balance we've had, change in practice to a certain extent, we're not using quite as much, but to sort out the balance, we're actually bringing it in from Europe. So there's all sorts of things which are imposing themselves upon us to make life all the more difficult.
It seems ridiculous, frankly. A friend of the show, Spencer Collins, is a couple of comments, and I'm just going to put one of them up. Given chronic underfunding, rising borrowing costs, etc., how can housing associations and councils restructure financing or whatever and optimize project pipelines to deliver large-scale affordable housing at speed without triggering systemic risk? Yeah, so basically, we're a bit buggered at the moment, if I can use a technical term, and it's very hard for housing associations and similar to deliver affordable housing at anywhere near the speed that we need it to. And given that and I return to my comment earlier, there should be a lot more housing available, but it's stuck in limbo in this nonsense about cladding.
It's not so much nonsense, but unfortunately, it's because of the shallowness of many of the builders and thinking, we can do that, we can do this, we can cut away this, we can take that out. You can't do that in any other industry.
It's rampant profiteering, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. I mean, if you did that in motor vehicles, they'd all be falling apart. I mean, as we know, one or two manufacturers didn't get a particularly good reputation because they weren't particularly reliable. But motor vehicles have become much more reliable because they're much more heavily scrutinized, and from a safety angle as well, which our properties weren't. But I mean, well done, Spencer, because what he actually sort of mentioned there is something we hadn't got on the subject of, the finance that's available. Is there really so much interest in what is actually going on at the moment? And it really is confidence that makes the difference. And we know so much development, so much progress, and so much potential construction, if you like, intent was held back because our budget was held back. That slowed everything down. So that slowed that down from between 3 months and 6 months, because nobody's going to do anything now in the full extent until we get into spring of next year. So basically, whatever was happening, so we're down 100,000 because of the budget that was held up. That's held us back another, I don't know, it's impossible to sort of count, but it will be tens of thousands of builds that won't actually sort of take place. Then the slow build up next year, there has to be confidence built. And do we have a government which is encouraging the confidence that Spencer was just suggesting then? I don't think we have at the moment, because we still have this major challenge. We have a shortage of skilled people, and people are leaving the industry, not just builders themselves, not just the, if you like, the professionals involved in that particular side of things. They're finding other things to do. And of course, the way the government is going, any employer, they're discouraged from taking on extra people because of the increased sort of cost.
Now, it's also become much more onerous to have staff on board as well over the last year.
It's also become much more onerous to be working, because you make your time up by doing a little bit more overtime.
Right.
Now, the thing is, of course, because they haven't moved up the ceiling for taxation purposes, people are thinking, well, is it really worth it? Nah.
No, because you get penalised. I mean, Heather, using my wife as an example, would like to do a bit more work, but she's so close to the limit before she suddenly jumps taxation boundaries. She's decided to hold back. It's ridiculous. We need more skilled workers helping this welfare state stay on its own 2 feet. Yet we're penalising people who want to do extra work. No,
it's a good thing we're not speaking about politics. And it's really the other aspect we speak about,
right?
Like the sort of skills shortages, but we've also got this big challenge with getting actually things through from that the initial idea stage, look at the procedure, and then looking at it, and then finding the appropriate land on which to put all of our properties, where to build, how to build. Now, admittedly, because of actions carried out by the present government, it is easier to actually get planning permission. So there's a lot of numpties, poor souls, that aren't able to actually sort of prevent building going on. But unfortunately, some of that build shouldn't be going on. There are areas where we shouldn't be building. But it's like anything else in life. Because the developers want to make money, they found a fascinating place. And one of the challenges to mainly the likes of us, now, for example, Gareth, you've just had all that massive, great field of yours. It's full of pipe work now. I don't know how deep the pipe work is, but
about 60 foot.
Now, it could well be that, having looked at what's been going on there, the local council are thinking to themselves, hang on, we've just dug that field up. That would be a prime place to build another 400 or 500 houses. Now, they might be doing that because we know the drainage is there now. They might actually be doing that, but nobody knows about it yet. It's in one of their secret little sort of, it's called the Sheila. I won't explain all the complications. We'll get somebody on board to explain about that.
Yeah, that might be a good idea. That would be a good idea for a further podcast, actually. Yes.
It could have been highlighted by the council to be able to turn around to the government. Oh, we've got these plans, we've designated this land being ideal for this, that, and the next thing. We haven't spoken to the neighbours about it yet. And the neighbours don't know.
No. Well,
they want to go. And the trouble is, those poor souls want to go and buy their retirement property. Look at that beautiful countryside that I see before me. And if you came to Bicester and you were buying a house in Bicester, on the outskirts of Bicester, about sort of 20 years ago, you would be totally engulfed now. You're totally surrounded. Instead of being surrounded by fields, that's actually surrounded by houses and more houses and more
I have
houses.
I have to say, since I've moved out to the country, I went into because I'm a member of a film club, and we were looking at an old film and then discussing it. So I went back to Boreham Wood in London.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and where I went to someone's house there, and they used to have 2 houses in front of them, a field, and then 30 houses way back there. Now completely surrounded. I've never felt so penned in. It's very odd, and this is what's happening outside Bicester and so many other conglomerations. I just want to say quickly, thank you to all you people that have turned up and are supporting us by attending. Really, really love that. And although today sounded like a bunch of people moaning about politics, our focus is about housing. Our focus is about construction and targets that were set and perhaps haven't been met, and perhaps talking about why that is without really focusing on the politics overall. But thank you so much for being here. We're going to be doing the same thing again, hopefully, but it will be property matters next week, and we'll be dealing with more in depth about what is promoting or demoting the production and the building of properties. But we'll talk about that then. Hamish, would you take us home, please?
Well, yes, I think I ought to also add to what Gareth just said. We set out, and one of the advantages of the way we go, I say, well, to us it seems like an advantage. We put out some detail about what we're going to be discussing. This is almost a public awareness sort of broadcast, if you like. This is what our podcasts are about. We want to create the knowledge and the wisdom, not so much the wisdom, but create the knowledge of certain things that are going on, things that possibly people hadn't thought about, weren't aware of, but also getting people to understand there's much, much more to what we speak about that you can find the detail about. And of course, the most important thing of the lot is if you actually look in at the sort of links that we have, the people that we have to discuss these matters, you'll find we get some very, 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 very experienced people who can actually start speaking about solutions. And the most important thing that we can do, and this government has to learn, it is how much you collaborate with other people, with the whole, but it needs to be that more and more, it has to be a holistic approach. You need to speak to experts, not just experts that you get on with, but everybody that's involved with the whole of that particular sort of process. So it is the construction engineers, it is the planning people, it is the building control, it is the actual professional people who are actually doing the work as well. So there's so many people. Oh, crikey, I forgot to mention the lawyers. You do need property lawyers. So there's so many people that need to be involved with these discussions. You exclude any of them, you're not really going to go as far forward as you want to go. But anyway,
we must end it today. I know, Spencer, you wanted to throw your thoughts and ask questions about the 2025 budget. Let's not do that here. We can probably mention that perhaps in Property Quorum, but which is, by the way, on Thursdays at 10 o'clock. We also have tomorrow Ipsy Kind of Magic, which is representative of the independent personal search agents up and down the country, or in an association that's currently chaired by Hamish. And also further, we've got Cladding Matters on Friday, where we discuss the aspects of property safety and property building safety, and things that have come out of the whole cladding disaster. It's not just about cladding. It's about what's underneath the cladding. So when you lift the skirts up, you see the filthy petticoats underneath it, dare one say. But until then, thank you so much for listening. Keep your feet on the ground. Keep reaching for the stars. And please try and look after your mental health. Until tomorrow, goodbye.